and they're forcing it to be given away is because somewhere in the middle they're making money.
Mm-hmm.
They're making money.
Mm-hmm.
They're siphoning off. Like all those companies that are calling me are making 20% of the money that they get you.
For sure.
And those companies are probably owned by the families of some of the people who made those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, COVID's over. Put the money back.
Yeah. Rainy day fund.
Yeah,
put
the bucket money
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
You don't need to keep trying to force it out onto the street. You know, you already did a horrible job when you gave it away the first time and created all these overnight millionaires.
That we're all paying for now because they're in prison.
Yeah. I mean, why bother indicting them? You're the idiots that gave it to them in the first place. I just think it's stupid. But this is what our country's up against, you know? And the more that high-end corruption is exposed, the more people like Trump. Because Trump's like, yeah, I charged him at my hotels. What the do you think I'm going to do? What do you think I'm going to do? It's the it's basics 101.
But he's still only looking out for his own people. Like, he's not looking out for the American. He didn't bring no business back to America. He didn't
I feel what you're saying, and I think there's room for
in fact,
improvement.
his daughter and her husband made something like $300 million or some ridiculous amount of money in China, making, you know, coffins and all kinds of other crazy shit. And I don't know, maybe I pulled it off of Instagram, but I know that they made a ridiculous amount of money themselves overseas.
No, every politician, their family makes money off of
Okay.
because that's the only way they can do it without being exposed. Their kids are out there doing whatever.
This wasn't even trying to like hide it.
It's the same thing with Biden's kid. It's the same thing.
He wasn't. Was he? I don't want to get into
that. It's the same thing. It's the same.
Joe Biden was the vice president, not the president of the United States, and Hunter Biden wasn't an actual official in the White House.
Oh, I get that.
But
he was still
operating in an official capacity.
No, but he was still a kid.
As a member of as a face of the U.S. government. I get that. I understand what you're saying there. Like, this is just an egregious affront to process, to protocol, to the rest of it.
Don't you think, though, that it's kind of silly that they brought 4 indictments against him? I mean, don't you think if there was a united front against Trump, right?
No, because these are at a state level where it was the most egregious.
Yeah, but you know, the one in Georgia is going to fall down to freedom of speech. It's what it's going to do because nobody actually acted on what he asked them to do. So there was no crime committed. There's no, you know, because he asked the guy, hey, can you fix this? Can you check this out? Can you do something about this? Doesn't mean anything.
I don't think that that's true, Lenny.
No, I don't.
That's true. I think that's like bribery. It's like whether the person takes it or not. If you offer payment to somebody, like cops don't take the money from Johns
I would bet every one of these indictments falls apart.
I don't think the one in Georgia will. The one in Georgia was level.
Mark my words. Every one of them will fall apart, and he's growing. And if he gets elected before then they're definitely over.
Yeah, but do you see what you're saying, though? The fact that you're okay with that is absolutely enraging.
Really?
You're okay with a man using the office of the presidency to literally allow himself to break laws, to try to dismantle our democracy, to try to take away our votes as voters because he didn't like the outcome. Like, you're literally saying that the playground bully
let me ask you this.
Should be made class president.
Do you think that the voting system in the United States is not flawed?
How you have to tell me how we haven't proved any voter fraud whatsoever. How is it flawed? You go in, you bring your license, you cast a ballot, and you walk out. You get your receipt, you get your sticker, it says I voted, and bam.
Yeah, but it's electronic.
And when it's questioned, it's then counted by hand, manually, multiple times. Sometimes with crazy people with guns looking over your shoulder. Why would you feed into this? What proof do you have that it is flawed? Like, what proof do you have? None. They have
the fact that politicians are robbing our country. Politicians in general
so are people.
Are the most corrupt
so are
people they are.
businessmen. So are
I got it.
pastors.
I get it.
Listen, it's called
I get it.
capitalism.
I get it.
And apparently this is what we're left with.
Yeah, but the government's not supposed to be that. The elected officials are not supposed to be businessmen padding their pockets.
Yeah, but they're not supposed to be businessmen patting their pockets. But then why do businessmen continue to approach them and ask them to do so?
Because they're allowed.
Why do businessmen continue to approach them and ask them to do so?
Because they're allowed.
They're allowed, but there's got to be some sort of accountability on all fronts, because then guess what? You don't get reelected. This is the problem. Like, everybody wants to and moan about the way things work until the way things work benefits them. Then it's like,
funny.
but they're not so bad. Like, all the developers, like, everybody's mad at Francis Suarez in Miami, right? Because he's a lawyer and he does real estate law and he's been in cahoots with some of the developers that have gotten very big contracts and blah, 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 blah. But on the flip side of it, all the tech people, oh, yeah, bring the money in, bring the money in, bring the money. Like, so it's one of those situations where it's like you're picking and choosing.
It's the same thing with big oil. And, do you allow them to drill in the United States, or do you not allow them to drill in the United States?
Who's going to be the politician that's going to step up and not take the bribes? You feel me? Like, where's that generation of political? Where's that person? Again, I go back to what we opened with, which was when you're watching these, Senate hearings and you're watching, the congressional meetings and you're looking at what's up there. If you're 42, my God, you look like a spring chicken. You look like a baby compared to the rest of these people, especially in the Senate, which, as you already know, I feel is hands down the most powerful body in this country. Like, hands down, bar none, whatever. What I'm fearful about, though, is that you're hearing these conversations. I'm seeing more about term limits than I've ever seen before, right? People wanting term limits. This is something we need to fight for. If Donald Trump is elected president, that will go out the window, as will term limits for the president. He's already said that. He wants to be the next Putin.
I found this really good video of Ross Perot. You know who Ross Perot was?
Do I know? Yeah.
When he was running in 92.
/ the White House, cabinet, and congressional staffs. Staffs don't get much done. All the action is in the field.
Listen
For
to this
example, in 1960, Congress had 6,700 staff members. Today they have 30,000. The White House had 375 in 1960, and today has 1,850. All they do is clutter up communications between the people and the leaders. We've got to change the whole organization in Washington so that people come to Washington to serve us and not to cash in. We absolutely must stop deficit spending. We've got to replace Graham-Rudman with a bill that will really eliminate the tricks, the loopholes, and the improper accounting procedures. We've got to give the president line-item veto to eliminate pork barrel and waste. We must eliminate PACs, political action committees. We've got to make our elected officials responsive to the people and not to the special interests. That's job one. We've got to eliminate all possibilities of special interests giving large sums of money to candidates, and we must leave no loopholes.
So that was 1992. Mm-hmm. Where are we at today?
Years were too big. I'm just kidding. That wasn't it. But
same.
it's heartbreaking. It's
the
heartbreaking.
same place. It's a broken record.
We're stagnant.
And nobody's learning.
The only thing I will say as far as staff goes, I 100% agree. However, there were also less people. So I think that obviously you need some sort of increase just to deal with the volume when you're talking about constituencies and things like that.
Of course, but you
still need thousands.
We don't have more congressmen. We don't have more
We do
senators.
have more people in Congress. You get more people the more people you have. Congress changes. The amount of
By
people
how many?
in the House depends on the population.
But I thought it was 497 or something. 400.
No, but it increased. Like, that's the whole deal, is that the amount of people you have in the House is dependent upon how many people you have in your state. So if your state's population grows, you get more people in the House. Not more senators, but you will always get more people in the House, dependent upon how much you're. And I'm sure it's thousands and thousands of people.